And let's talk about the sector as well. Nikunj Sanghi, Director FADA, now joins in. Great to have you on board. To start off with, just give us a directional sense of the overall sales and inventory in June, because it's shaping up to be a horrid year for the automakers, and that's being reflected in the data. What are the key reasons?
Well, I guess the key reason continues to be the weak sentiment in the auto industry. And like I said, that I think the auto industry is presently going through a phase where we get a morning dose of a bitter pill every day. And I think the recent failure of monsoon in a majority of the country, and some countries facing floods like the Northeast, I think it's not good news for auto industry at all.
Inventory levels, are they manageable, or inventory levels will take a lot of time before they're clear? Because I think there was a quote coming from one of the organizations yesterday which said that inventory levels are now okay.
So inventory levels have improved in the sense that they have gone down in case of passenger vehicle segment. And I think that's primarily because manufacturers have consciously taken production cuts and have also moderated dispatches to the dealerships. But they continue to remain very high, both in two-wheeler space and commercial vehicle space. And I think it will take some time for inventory levels to get to the desired level of 21 days, which FADA says is the ideal level, seeing the present downturn in the industry. And this will take a long time to correct, because the second quarter is a weak quarter for the auto industry. So I don't think we will see a very significant improvement in retail in this quarter. So it's a pain period for the auto retailers, and I don't see a respite very soon.
Okay, so then you're not even expecting things to rebound in the second half. What's the kind of timeline you're looking at? Because we were wondering whether PV inventories bottomed out. If you're saying the pain is set to continue, what should we anticipate?
So I guess PV should be all right by festival. I think when we get into the festival period, PV inventories should get optimized, looking at the trend which most manufacturers are facing now. Our concern is more with two-wheelers and commercial vehicle space. And we are hoping that there will be some kind of pre-buying which happens in the festival because of the coming in of BS6 norms, which will make vehicles more expensive. And there are customers who would like to encash that opportunity and buy a BS4 vehicle at a much lower price. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, and I think that's our only hope as of now.
Four-wheeler buyer is confused. Does a four-wheeler buyer buy electric vehicle, or you buy a combustion engine? Everybody feels that electric vehicle is the future, so maybe that is creating confusion. But in two-wheelers, there is no confusion. If you want to buy a two-wheeler, you pretty much have to buy from what is available on the shelf. So why two-wheeler sales are also suffering? I understand passenger cars are suffering, passenger car buyer is confused, but that is not the case for a two-wheeler buyer.
Well, I guess there is some kind of confusion even in the two-wheeler space, specifically with the present recommendation of the Niti Aayog, which says that all less than 150cc two-wheelers will have to go electric by 2025. So that leaves a space of less than 6 years. And so both, I think the manufacturer and the consumer has some kind of doubt in the way forward. But I guess the two-wheelers is more concerned about the consumption pattern going down. And since the consumer is having a problem even doing his non-discretionary purchases, the automobiles or two-wheelers definitely are a part of his discretionary purchase, and he's postponing it till the liquidity position in his own hands and liquidity position with the NBFCs improves. And the kind of financing which NBFCs would normally do in the two-wheeler space, that continues.
What I was going to ask you about next, that with dealers still stressed, liquidity still tight, do you feel anything more can be done? There really seems to be no headway in terms of when this situation is going to ease. On this front as well, both in terms of dealer working capital, retail volumes. When do you see things changing?
Hoping that there will be some improvement in liquidity with the recent budgetary announcement. One is recapitalization of some of the PSU banks which have been under stress. That's almost 70,000 crores. I think that should ease the liquidity position there. Two, I think with the kind of guarantees which have been given for NBFCs for a period of 6 months, I guess there'll be some easing out of liquidity at the NBFC space. And I think if both these things happen, it will take a little time for the budgetary announcements to come into effect. And I think once they've come into effect, we do hope that there will be better liquidity in the system.
All right, Mr. Sanghi, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.